All right. Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to you all. I am Vishal, your host for today's session. I hope you're having a great day so far, and I'm very excited for the brand new informative session of the Ask the Expert series organized by the Institute of Product Leadership. Today we are doing an expert the series on product management in the era of AI. All right, then, folks, without any further delay, let me kickstart this session by welcoming and introducing today's speaker, Mr. Sai Satish Vedam. Sai Satish Vedam is a product leader with extensive experience in building and bringing disruptive technology products to the market. He has worn many hats during his career: programmer, designer, architect, analyst, manager, mentor, and a strategist in a large corporation. Most recently, he served as a senior director of product management at Oracle, and he's also an executive coach and a senior faculty member at the Institute of Product Leadership. A very warm welcome to you, Sai, and I'm excited to have you with us today. I hope you're doing well.
Yes, thank you, Vishal. Thanks for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. I'm sure it's been a long day for many of you, just as it has been for me. So here is some things that we're going to do. Now, this is an Ask the Expert session or Ask Me Anything in this particular area. So I will spend first few minutes in bringing in some perspectives around this particular topic, but would love to spend a lot more time from answering or discussing your context, your questions, and what you want to know. Now, here is the thing. This is end of the day, almost towards the end of the day, and I'm sure you're all tired and you want to get back to what you are doing at home. So let's make the best out of this 1 hour so that your before and after is slightly different, right? If that has not happened, then you and I have collectively wasted our time. Yep. So, and to that effect, as it is, this mode of communication, this medium of communication is not very conducive, but please do turn on your cameras. Now, some of you may hesitate saying that, what about my background and all of that? Come on. We have gotten used to it for 3 years or 4 years now, right? Or more than that. So don't worry about it. That's your home. So if your kid walks by and wants to say hello, we can say hello. If your dog walks by, that's fine too. And if you're hungry, no problem. Keep munching. It's just that you will make the rest of us hungry. But do turn on the camera. Otherwise, it is going to be terrifying for me to look into the green dot and speaking, right? And that's not the best way to have a good interaction. So I do see several of you who have turned on the cameras. Good job, and thank you for doing that. And I will wait for another 10 seconds for others to do it. Please go ahead and do that. Right, so I'm going to call out a few names now. Samar, Samrat, Sandeep, Shantanu, Shilpa. We might as well do this as a podcast, isn't it? Or a recorded session if you're not on camera. What is the point of doing a live session? Isn't it? Great, awesome. Now I see a whole bunch of people coming on. Good. More of you? Yeah, Vishal, can you stop sharing that screen so that I can see many participants? Okay, good, super. All right, so here is how we're going to do, right? So first, I'm going into this discussion with an assumption that you all want to know whether AI is disrupting product management. Now, I don't know whether that is true or not, but that's an assumption that I'm making because that's what product people do. We always start with assumptions around our customers, around our products, around our markets. And then we start doing specific experiments to test whether that assumption is true or false. This is a very structured way of approaching product thinking. This is product thinking 101. Right? So now later you tell me, write on the chat if that assumption is true or not. Otherwise, I'd be surprised to see so many of you eagerly jumping in at 8 p.m. in the night to see ye kya chal raha hai. Why is this, I'm assuming that there's significant interest because you really want to understand, is AI going to disrupt product management? If so, how? And if so, does that matter to you? Is that fair? Yes, no, move your hand, show your thumbs. Come on, guys. This is boring otherwise. Yes, good, super. Okay, so here's what I will do. I would bring in three different perspectives as part of this opening session, right? One, I have myself transitioned from engineering role into product management many years ago, almost 15, 16 years ago, and subsequently led global products with multi-million dollar revenues in large multinational companies working in technology products. So I can bring in some learning, some mistakes that I have done so that you don't have to do it. The second perspective that I will bring in is as a hiring manager. I've hired 60 plus product managers in my career from variety of roles, from engineering, from design, from customer support, from marketing, from pre-sales, and a whole bunch of areas, right? So which means I can also help you understand if there is any interest that how can one approach this transition if there is interest and how have others done it. Third one, mainly focus on today's topic, is I will bring the perspective of what I call myself as a AI tinkerer, right? I'm not an AI expert. I am an AI tinkerer, especially in generative AI. Almost 2 years ago, I by chance encountered or saw a tweet on Twitter or X as it is now called, which caught my attention. Somebody talked about something called GPT 2.5, and I actually went and studied about it, and I was amazed. And 2.5 is nothing compared to what we have today in the generative AI space. Okay, so these are the three perspectives that I will bring in. But before we jump into it, for me to understand, for all of you to understand who the audience is and what do you guys think right now about this artificial intelligence that is on everybody's mind. So Vishal, can I request you to launch the poll, before we get started into this discussion, so that I want to encourage all of you to take that quick 2-question poll, right? So are you guys able to see the poll on your Zoom screens if you're joining on Zoom? Yes? Now I can also go into an awkward pause mode if you guys are not opening up and talking. Yes?
Yeah,
Saurabh?
we have it on the screen.
Good. So go ahead, take it, and let me read out for the people who are joining through LinkedIn stream or YouTube stream or whichever other streams that you are in. The first question is, when you think of the term artificial intelligence and when you use it in your jobs or when you want to use it in your jobs, what comes to your mind? Right? Option one is perform analysis, predictions, classifications, optimization, and task automation. Option two is perform content creation, documents, which is content could be documents, requirements documents, business plans, strategic analysis, PRDs, user stories, a whole bunch of stuff. And of course, code. We have systems today that can generate fantastic code with just natural language expressions. And of course, multimodal audio, video, and all of that. And perform some kind of data analysis, right? Using data sets. It could be simple data analysis to complex things like conjoint analysis, cohort analysis, and a whole bunch of other things. And task automation, right? So which of these things really comes to your mind when you hear the word artificial intelligence in your job roles? Now, I'm sure many of you come from variety of functional roles. That includes engineering, customer support, solutions engineering, whether it is in tech companies or non-tech companies, independent of that. Okay, another maybe 10 seconds on that poll. And I see the second poll question is your primary interest in AI in the context of product management is manage the building and scaling of AI products or AI driven products, option number one. And option two is hands-on usage of AI in the product decision-making process. Right? Now, the reason why I thought these two questions are pertinent and required for us to understand, number one is a lot of people misunderstand what AI is. And of course, AI has been around for more than 40 years now, right? In variety of AI is a very large space. You have machine learning, you have pattern recognition, you have image recognition, you have natural language processing, and a whole bunch of very technical stuff, right? It is math heavy. It requires very good programming skills. So that has been the field of AI for a long time. And it continues to be that. Now, within that AI space, there is a subset that has emerged in the last 2 years called generative AI. Generative AI is essentially the ability for the large language models or machine language models to create completely new, previously not created content right away. Anything that you create using these models is completely new, right? And that is not just in text, but it's image, it's audio, it's video. And these models have a fantastic ability to create that because they have been pre-trained on a whole bunch of data from the internet, right? So it is important to distinguish, at least in your own mind, when people refer to as AI, are we talking about AI which talks about classification? Does it talk about predictions? Does it talk about optimizations, which is machine learning, data, deep learning, neural networks, and a whole bunch of stuff? That is what is the first whole question about. And the second one is a lot more focused on generative AI, which is basically what made people sit up and take notice and say, wow, this is something that is going to be highly disruptive everywhere, right? So everyone can actually create articles, create books, create business plans, create PRD documents, create a whole bunch of things, and not just in text, but multimodal form. So naturally, that caught the attention of a whole bunch of people. And I want to differentiate between the two. Even in your mind, I strongly encourage you to do the two, right? Because the kind of jobs that will get disrupted, the kind of skills that you would need for each of these is quite different. Right? So that is the reason why that first poll is important. And the second one, of course, if you are in product management or if you are in any product profession, right? It could be product development as well. Managing the building and AI-driven products is a very different aspect compared to how you will, as an individual professional, as a career professional, how can we learn and leverage the AI aspects of it, and especially in the generative AI aspects of it, to become insanely productive is a very different approach. So anytime that you hear people say AI, either you ask them for clarification on what they mean by AI, which most of the times they may not even know, or in your mind, you should quickly understand, okay, this is the classification, traditional machine learning, data science part of it, or this is the generative AI part of it. Now, I won't go into details about each of that unless somebody has questions later, but this distinction is super important even in our context for today's discussion. Right? Can you share the results and stop the poll as well, Vishal?
Sai already did that actually.
Okay, good.
I
So
am
I
sharing
see,
the result right now.
I can see the result. Let me call
Yeah.
out. 71% of the participants are talking about predictions, classification, machine learning aspects of things. And 59% of them are talking about predominantly generative AI models and agents and all of those things, which honestly, I'm a bit surprised because unless you come from heavy programming background, heavy mathematical background, the first one is a very specialized field. The second one is where it has democratized this access to pretty much everyone who can ask or who can develop the ability to ask the right set of questions, right? Isn't this amazing that so many years we have developed machines, we as humans and engineers and everybody has developed machines and systems and languages to use that to understand how machines work, to make machines do things that we want it to do, right? This is the basically what I'm talking about is the programming languages, right? The reason why programming languages came about is a layers of abstraction for humans to actually write in such a way that machines will understand and execute them. Now, today we are in the era of the machines are able to understand our language. That means our ability to articulate, to communicate, determines how best and how well these machines can respond to them. It's a fundamental shift, right? And to me, that is a lot more exciting. And of course, if you're keen, if you're interested in the machine learning and the AI part of it, that is exciting too. But what I've seen from past experience of many, many professionals, while there is a strong desire to learn that, to develop skill in that, it requires incredible amount of perseverance and learning from certain things from the basics, right? Right from statistics and then programming and then machine learning and all of that stuff, right? So, which is also a fantastic field, by the way, if there is appetite, if there is interest to do that part. Okay, does that help clarify the difference, guys? Yeah. Now you can unmute and that's okay.
Yes, Satish sir. Clear.
Yes.
Okay, super. All right. So now let's jump into specifically around the product management and the assumption that I came into this discussion that you all may have is AI going to disrupt product management? Now, the short answer to that is absolutely. Yes. In fact, AI is going to disrupt every white collar job that we know. There is no surprise there. Every white collar job, right? Now, and when I say disrupt, it doesn't have to be in a very negative way. Yes, there is going to be some job losses. There is no doubt about it, right? And we are already seeing that companies are reprioritizing their investments and a whole bunch of things. And this is not first time. This has happened before. I have spent 25 years in the technology industry. A little background in addition to what Vishal spoke about. I was part of the team that created Java 5, right? I don't know how many of you have heard of this Java. It actually was created by a company called Sun Microsystems. And I was an architect in Sun Microsystems, part of the team that created this amazing technology platform programming environment called Java 5, right? I was also part of the team that sent rover to Mars, right? The first rover that was sent to Mars, I was part of the team. So I come from a hardcore technical background, but then moved quickly into product management and subsequently into product leadership, where I helped build very large scale products for very large companies, right? And I also started a couple of companies, failed miserably in one of them. So if there is any interest in the audience, happy to chat about what not to do if you want to become ever an entrepreneur, right? And of course, I spent quite a bit of time mentoring and coaching senior working professionals like you who want to accelerate their careers into product leadership roles or transition into product roles, right? So that's where, that's why those perspectives that I said I will bring in at the beginning of this session, right? So now, before we jump in and talk about how is AI going to disrupt product management, or a little bit of AI as well, I want to give a structural understanding of product management. A lot of people really don't have a good understanding what this functional role is, product management. Can any of you tell me what you believe, what you think is product management? Just a quick check. I want to understand. Don't worry if it's a right answer or wrong answer. It is what it is at this stage. So go ahead, either type in the chat or be brave enough to unmute yourself and tell me what you think is product management. Go on.
So,
Yeah,
uh,
Anuj. Go ahead,
yes,
Anuj.
so product management is basically breaking down the vision into small components and then building it one by one into a final product.
Breaking down a feature into smaller components and
Breaking down a vision.
vision. Okay, good. Very good. So that could be product vision, or that could be a company or a business vision, because depending on which which type of company that you are in. If it's a small startup, all they have is one vision, which is get the customers, right? In large organizations, you have corporate vision, business vision, and then that gets translated to product vision. Good. So, and then take that and break that down into smaller chunks to do things, to create products to achieve that. Now, let me ask you this question. Why do we even create products? It sounds like a very silly question, right? Here is a product. It's a water bottle. Why did somebody create this product?
Okay, the vision would be someone had an idea that there should be a way to carry water from reservoir to wherever we are going, carry the
Okay.
water with us.
Okay.
So from there, they built. They started with pots maybe, and then slowly it translated into other
Yeah.
easier things to carry.
Yeah. That's good answer. But I think there is even more fundamental question that PMs
Because
ask.
because people get thirsty. That is the main reason.
Excellent. So the basic question is products exist to solve problems or unmet needs of your customers. Right? Now, there are, again, whoever answered that question, there are 200 brands of water bottles in the market. Why does it even exist? If the fundamental problem that it wants to solve is to quench the thirst of people, why do we need 200 brands of water bottle? Right? Now, the answer lies in three types of things. One, what we call as customer needs fall under three categories. One is functional needs, which are actual, tactical, tangible core needs. The second set of needs is what we call as emotional needs. And the third one is social needs, right? So now a job of a product person is to engineer those needs into product in the form of features or capabilities, right? But that's the role of a product manager. We'll get to that role of product manager and how that is shifting very later on. But going back to this one, product management is what? One more. I'd like to say thanks, Anuj. Good job. Anybody else?
It's like you have to identify the market opportunity and build some product that could attract customer and that could benefit the company as well in terms of
Great job.
revenue.
But I don't see you. Is that Mrunal?
No, this is summer.
Samarth. I don't see you though, Samarth. Are you on camera?
Camera. I can see you.
Okay. So maybe
Sorry, Jagannath here. When it comes to the product management, in my view, it's like whether it is a software or a hardware product. It's we have to manage when the product is developed and delivered to the customer and how they use. We have to maintain makes how it delivers, and it is all comes under the management. I mean, how the production is going on there, whether if it is a mobile phone or any bottle, whatever
good.
it may be.
So what you're articulating is somebody needs to manage how the product is being used and how that is solving the problem of the customer after you deliver the product, right? But there is a whole bunch of things that need to happen before you even come up with that product.
Hi, I'm sorry to interrupt, but then I would like to put my point of view as well over here.
Go ahead.
So yeah, according to me, what product management is, it's very simple. You have to make sure that the way your product has to be working, I mean the vision of your product, it's just you have to be managing and making sure that it is delivered the way as you expected it or not. It's way too simple.
I think it's the same thing that even the other person said. You are already assuming that there is a product.
No,
and
but
hence you will manage the product.
with I think one thing that is lost on a lot of us is even before you go into that phase,
Yep.
there has to be an identification of a need, and then you have to plan. Like you very rightly pointed that there are different categories of need. There are stated as well as unstated and latent needs that can be tapped into. So research goes into that, marketing research. Then you plan, or after you have identified the need, you plan on the best way to go on about tapping that demand. You plan,
Absolutely.
you design, and then you create, and then you maintain.
Yeah,
I
is
think
that Is that Vivek?
Vivek Vashisht, I'm from New Delhi. Hello.
Very good, Vivek. Absolutely right. I think most of you assume that there is a product and hence we have to manage that product delivery, execution, putting it in the hands of the customer and their experience, which is true, but there is a whole bunch of stuff that gets done before even somebody decides to make the product, right? And hence, a very structural way to think about this is product management as a discipline, as a functional role, is the art and science of identifying the market needs and opportunities, number one, and driving the team towards developing. Remember, driving the team. This is not owning something. Nice titles we see in India called product owner. Now, what does this product owner own? Right? A lot of times you also hear these cliches that product manager is a CEO of the product. Now, let me tell you, it feels good about it to hear that. I feel really good that I'm a CEO of a product. But at the end of the day, you are, maybe the truth to reality is that you are probably a janitor of the product. Right from the day of inception of identifying those needs, working with a cross-functional team. And this is very important. It's a highly cross-functional role, which means you will have to work with engineers, QA, designers, marketeers, sales, partnerships, leadership, and customers, right? Highly cross-functional role, and driving the teams towards developing compelling, competitive, and profitable products. Now, each of these words that is highlighted is super important. Most important thing is identifying the market needs and opportunity, right? Is the problem real? Is the problem urgent? Is the problem worth solving? These are three fundamental questions that need to be asked and answered before we make a decision of let's create a solution, let's create a product, let's create an offering to address those needs, right? And then the compelling part is the customer should look at your product and say, wow, that is really going to solve my needs. And this needs is many types of needs, right? Competitive, which means, again, customer is evaluating many choices, many options, and you have to stand out to say in some dimension, you are way better than the alternatives. And the third one is profitable products. At some point, it's a business, it has to make money. Now, for not-for-profits also have product management. Lots of education institutions, hospitals, NGOs, whole bunch of companies that are making offerings also have product managers, but their motive may not be profit, but you still need to generate revenue to sustain that product, to continue to run that product, right? So this is very important to keep in mind, and not just about, and this is the reason why I want to emphasize is there are some aspects of this that are more heavily disrupted by AI than some of these areas. So let's talk, jump in about it. Now, I speak to a lot of professionals who want to get into product management. And I'm so happy about it because one of my purpose or one of my things that I do is to encourage people to get into products. But I also caution people saying that it is not for everyone. This role is not for everyone. It's very important to recognize that because this role comes with a lot of uncertainty, ambiguity, chaos, but it's a decision-making role. So you are expected to make strategic decisions. And when I say strategic decisions, these are decisions that have direct impact on the business. These are not, all of you are making decisions. All of you make decisions in your job, in our lives and everything. But some of these decisions have direct impact on the business. And this particular role is expected to make those things in the context of ambiguity, uncertainty, chaos, confusing. And on top of all of that, you don't have a team. Until you become a director of products or a group product manager in many companies, you will not have people reporting to you. And this is very interesting. And this is by design, right? So if you are one of those people whose measure of success is kitne aadmi the, that Sholay dialogue, how many people report to me is a measure of success, then this is not the role for you. I think it's very important to recognize that. Now, there's a very interesting motto that I came across, and many of you know the motto or the tagline of Spider-Man, right? With great power comes great responsibility. And a product manager's motto is with great responsibility comes no power. A lot of people think that there is a huge amount of power that you can wield, but quite contrary, you actually need to build influence, not power, not authority, right? Of course, you get to senior roles, director, senior director, VP, chief product officer. Yes, you will have quite a bit of authority as well. So be aware of this thing, because people sometimes get into this for a bit of wrong reasons and very quickly get disappointed. Let me tell you that. A lot of people get very quickly disappointed. Oh my God, I did not know that this role is so complicated, so chaotic, and a whole bunch of things, right? So I wanted to bring that notion. Now, absolutely it is possible to transition or get into product roles from variety of roles. As a hiring manager, I have hired musicians, pianists as product manager, and me working in a hardcore technology company like Oracle. For a simple reason, because I already had 7 product managers in my team who come with telecom domain understanding. I don't need the 8th person. I wanted somebody who brings customer understanding, customer empathy. Those are different skills, right? But it requires a particular method to approach this whole area of pieces of puzzle put together. So a simple way I want to highlight, if there is one thing that I want you to take away from this session, is this analogy, right? And the analogy is like this. I'm sure many of you have seen in YouTube or TV or anything, there's a Western orchestra that happens, right? So there are a bunch of violinists, there are a bunch of pianists, there are a bunch of cellists who are playing their musical instruments. And there's this one character with a black coat and a stick in hand who's waving his hand up and down. Now, who is this character? Who is this person?
Conductor.
What is this person's role?
Conductor.
The conductor of the orchestra, right? Now, the interesting thing about this conductor, which many people don't know, is that this person knows how to play every instrument. Not an expert in any instrument, but knows how to play piano, violin, cello, bass, everything, so that this person can now say, violinist, you go up, cellist, you go down, so that you create a harmonious orchestra. So essentially, the role of a product manager is like this conductor, who's an orchestrator, not an owner, not a CEO, not any of that fancy things, but an orchestrator of the productizing process. Now, there's a whole productizing process, right? Which I won't get into these details, but it basically is understanding the value that you want to create for your customers by solving problems. Number 2 is creating the value in the form of products and features and capabilities. Number 3, capturing that value in the form of pricing, revenue streams, and money. Number 4, communicating that value to the market through product marketing, go-to-marketing activities. And number 5 is delivering value through variety of sales and delivery channels. This is the whole productizing process, and a whole bunch of teams are responsible for each of these stages. But a product manager is the orchestrator of that, which means it's the responsibility of the product manager to solve the right problems through right products and put it in the hands of the customers that they can get value, right? So that's a metaphorical way to understand what product management is. Okay, so before we jump into role of product manager in the era of AI, any questions, any thoughts, comments so far? No? Are we good to go? Can we move ahead? Yes, no, Richu, Saurav?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so let's jump in now. So remember the assumption that I came up with or started this session with is AI going to disrupt product management? Absolutely, the answer is true. Now, but not for the reason what many people think. Now, in 2024, and since February 2024, it's almost a year now, or more than a year, I have been spending quite a bit of time meeting with business leaders, meeting with product leaders, very senior people in the industry, especially in India, trying to understand how are they thinking about this? What kind of disruption do they anticipate? Now, one thing that became clear is AI is going to upend the economics of every businesses, every traditional business that we know across every industry. It is going to upend the entire economics. Now, what do I mean by that? Right? So let me take a simple example. So take software development, for example. What used to take 10 engineers months to build something today takes 2 people probably weeks or even days to build the same thing. And I'm not joking. People are actually doing this today. And that is only going to get impressive as we go into this, maybe this year, next year. And it's not just about software development. Take many, many workflows. If a workflow requires a small army of people doing a lot of manual tasks, that is absolutely ripe for disruption. So let me give real examples in these 2 scenarios, right? The first one that I talked about, what used to take 10 people months to develop will now take, 1 or 2 people weeks or days. I'm not sure how many of you have seen an excellent post that the VP of Engineering of Amazon Work Service, AWS, posted recently. They were actually looking to migrate their entire code base from Java 8 to Java 14 or Java 17, some later version. Right? Their whole code base was in that older version. And it's a big migration project. For those of you who are in engineering, for those of you who are developers, you know how complicated or complex this is, right? It's a multi-month effort with hundreds of people working on it. And what he posted is they actually got this entire thing done in 3 months, saving $340 million. $340 million. Just think about why businesses wouldn't look at this now very seriously. Right? Now, the example for the second scenario, which is a whole bunch of people doing repetitive manual tasks, are absolutely going to be changed or replaced by a whole bunch of small semi-autonomous systems. HubSpot. Some of you may know HubSpot is a very popular CRM product for medium enterprises. And the CEO of HubSpot, Yamini, she posted on LinkedIn that 28% of all customer support requests that comes to HubSpot today are completely 100% addressed by AI agents. No human is involved. Now, 28% is a massive number, right? So the reason why I'm bringing that up is a whole bunch of roles are going to change. New roles will emerge, right? Now, for those of you who are finding it skeptical, I'm old enough to know that 9 years ago, there was no role in the industry called social media marketing manager. That role did not exist. Today, if you put out a job description to hire a social media marketing manager, in 4 hours, you will get 400 applications. There are a huge number of people. That is just a simple example of how new roles will emerge that did not exist before. Right? So it's important to get that in perspective. So now let's put this in the specific context of product management, right? So when we talk about AI in products, there are various aspects that companies are looking to use AI and generative AI in their products. One big category is creating new product experiences that were not possible before, right? So previously, to create an audio talking assistant, a voice assistant, wasn't easy. It used to sound robotic. You had to train that on specific ontologies, specific vocabularies, specific industry nomenclatures, and a whole bunch of things, and then build that application. You do testing, and people are upset about it, a whole bunch of stuff. But today, that can be literally done in weeks with almost human-like voice and human-like conversation. That's just one example, right? And I'm seeing amazing products today that are being created, coming up with new experiences with AI. The second big category that we see is supercharged team productivity. Right? What used to take weeks, if you ask a good product manager who essentially needed to go and write a business plan, right? It would take weeks, right? And now, at least you can get it to a starting point within 30 minutes, within 20 minutes. And of course, just because generative AI can create a business plan doesn't mean, number one, it is right, and number two, it is in your context. But today, that is a skill. The skill is, how do I extract the best from these AI systems by providing domain knowledge, by asking the right set of questions, and by evaluating the responses that it provides? That is the skill. Right? And the third category, which is where a lot of companies today are investing, is low-hanging fruit, which is process efficiencies. A whole bunch of manual, repetitive, people-driven processes. Now, this industry, this area already got impacted by one particular industry called robotic process automation, RPA, right? But it was partially successful in my view. There are whole things that could not be recorded, that could not be structured, that could not be created as a proper workflow. But now you have incrementally or infinitely better systems that can help you do that. So most of the companies have started investing in this area, and there are top-down mandates from organizations that say, you have to bring in and use AI into our workflows. Some of you will already know this, right? I'm hearing this from pretty much every company that I spoke to. And it's not surprising, that's what businesses do. Right? Number one, they want to optimize and increase efficiencies. Number two, they want to create new revenue streams, new ways of making money, and increasing the value to the customers and charge more. And both of them are going to happen. The product experiences part will take some time because we are still in the early stages of especially generative AI, but the pace at which it is happening is just mind-blowing, right? So if you cut out all the hype and the buzz and the noise in the market and take a step back and ask this question, what does really a product manager do and how does that impact? It becomes clear. So here is where a product management role and responsibilities. Now, I'm very glad, honestly, that this is happening, because at the end of the day, product management is not a tactical job. It is not about tools and tasks. Unfortunately, agile development methodology has created this notion that product managers' focus should be writing requirements, writing user stories, providing clarity to the teams, definition of done, all of that stuff. That is very tactical job. It is important. I'm not saying it's not important. It is very important, but that is not what real product management is. PM is customer-facing business decision-making role in any company, whether it's a technology company, non-tech company, IT, electronics, semiconductor, pharmaceutical, banking, anything. And, I remember this, and I'm happy to say this again, because for the past 14 years, that is how most of us who did product management believed, which is it's a customer-facing business decision-making role, and you work with a cross-functional team, including engineering, design, marketing, and all of that to make it happen. Right? Now, of course, Agile also created this new role called product owner. Now, product owner is specifically supposed to focus on those tactical set of activities, because that itself requires attention and execution properly. That's an execution part of it. So now in that context, here are some 6 contexts that I will highlight where product management responsibilities fall. And the expectation is going to increase tremendously now with AI. Number 1, customer context. And this is all about understanding your customers, understanding the problems and needs that they have, and bringing those insights back into decision-making with the teams, right? In the product management vocabulary, we call this as discovery. right? If you have not heard of this term, it's a super important term. It's called discovery. It could be customer discovery, problem discovery, right? That is the first context. Now, the second context is about business context. Ability to understand your business, ability to come up with different business models for your product. How are we going to make money? What revenue model do we take? Do we take subscription model? Do we take license model? Do we take asset sale model? Do we take a transaction model? There are 14 different revenue models there. Your ability to understand what the business prefers and what is the best way to come up with a business model is another context. And the third context is innovation context. Now, a whole bunch of you, if you come from engineering roles, this is natural to you because this is all about building the features, a faster, better, cheaper, more innovative way, right? But remember, this is just one context. And of course, bringing in AI in implementation part is an innovation context, not necessarily from a product management point of view. Right? Let me make an important statement here. Our product is powered by AI. AI powered this, AI driven this, dot AI. You hear a lot of these things from many companies these days. But that is utter nonsense because your customer doesn't care whether it is AI or BI or CI or DI. By the way, all those are real acronyms. AI, BI, CI, DI are all real acronyms, and teams have been using all of these things for a long time. Your customer really doesn't care whether it is AI powered. What they care about is how it solves a problem for them. Right? Now, you might ask then, why are these companies, every product says powered by AI? Basically, everybody wants to be seen as innovative and at the forefront of innovation and probably raise some money, get some mind share and all of that stuff. By the way, this is not new. For those of you who are old enough to work, we have seen this during the cloud era. Powered by this cloud, powered by that cloud. Before that, it happened with mobile. Right? Now, this is not new. So don't get sucked into that hype, but it's very important, right? So then you have fourth context, which is process context. Now, this is what I talked about, a lot of tactical activities that typically product owners do. And we call the people in that role as feature product managers, which means you are only focusing on the features of a particular module or of one product. That is a very tactical way to think about it. It is important, but still tactical. Fifth context, and this is super important. It is going to become even more important as we go in, which is your ability. Remember, this is a highly cross-functional role. And that means we talk about this role as influencing without authority. You may have heard of this. Product manager's role need influencing without authority. Nobody reports to you, yet you are expected to influence a whole bunch of stakeholders from different functional teams to believe in the vision, in the approach, in the goal that you are representing from the business standpoint. Right? So it has several skills, which I'll come back to it in a second. And the last context is market context. And that means, is there an opportunity here for us to capture if we solve that market need? Remember, if your company decides to create a product, you're going to spend time, money, people, energy, resources, and a whole bunch of things to create that product to the market. Which means you have to make a very strong case that it is actually worth doing. There is enough opportunity to capture for us if we do this. Without this, no product even gets started. Right? These are some of the things that will happen before a decision is made. Yes, let's go build a product. For those of you who are in engineering and even probably product owner role, a lot of these things happen behind the scenes for you. Right? This is the why of business. Why do we need to do what we need to do? Right? Without this, product management is a half-baked role and highly susceptible to disruption with AI. Now, let me ask you guys a question. In all these contexts, which aspect do you think AI is going to disrupt? which context do you think AI is going to disrupt or influence? Go on.
Yeah, this is sort of.
Yes, Saurav, go ahead.
Uh, it will help us to take the decision like faster. Decision making will become more like faster.
Okay, that is good. But in this
Uh,
context, which of these things do you think you will be able to leverage as a product manager to become super efficient and very productive and do things faster and much better than what you used to do as a PM before?
Satish, Jagannath here.
Hmm.
In this, not only a single point, multiple things can be easily overcome with the AIs. For example, innovation content, when we use AI in there, it will give more ideas compared to others.
Very good.
And when the process content, it will minimize the huge bundle into the small paragraphs which can easily understand that
So
kind.
you're absolutely right. But the right word to use there, Jagannath, is not
Yeah.
overcome, it is augment.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So if you look at it, every aspect of this entire context that we have seen will be augmented by AI, which means if you know contextually how to bring in generative AI specifically into every aspect of what you're doing, you can become super awesome. Right? There's no doubt about it. Now, here is another set of things that are going to be amplified by AI. These are all the leadership skills or soft skills that people call. Now, the term soft skills is very interesting because soft skills are the hardest to master, right? I don't know why they call it soft skills, but these are some of the things that are hard to actually build skills and master. But these are going to become more important now because understand this, very soon, and it's already happening, there are going to be systems that people are going to deploy that will write a PRD for your product inside your company. You don't have to use public large language models, which is trained on all the internet data to give some good things and bad things. The systems are going to learn your business, your customers, at least from a data standpoint, right? And will very quickly be able to create a PRD document, a business document, a user experience design, user stories, whole bunch of stuff. But these, which means now a product role is required to bring in more of these skills. Your executive presence, your ability to tell a compelling story to persuade your other stakeholders, right? So you will need to use a different language, different story, different way of talking to engineers, to the sales team, to the marketing team, to the design team, and everyone. The more and the better you do it, your value in the organization goes very high, right? So to me, these are the leadership skills and soft skills that are going to be amplified by AI in product roles. Now, here are a set of new things that are going to be expected from some product managers, right? So I don't want to scare people or make people, fear that, oh, I need to learn new technology skills or technical skills, which is programming, machine learning, algorithms, statistical models, and whole bunch of stuff. Now, they are required in a very different context, which I can talk about subsequently. But there is going to be an expectation among many companies that you have a very good understanding of this new AI tech stack. There is a new generative AI tech stack that is emerging. Many of you who come in the technology world, you know there are tech stacks, right? There is a 3-tier architecture starting from database layers to middle tiers to front-end layers and a whole bunch of stuff. There is a new tech stack that is emerging, but the expectation is not that you will become an expert in that. You will not become, and you shouldn't try to, right? Because then your value is very different and will be compared to unnecessarily an engineer. or a data scientist or a machine learning engineer, right? That's not your goal. As a product person, your job still is customer facing, business decision making, creating products to solve their problems and needs. Okay. The second one is prompt engineering. Now, a lot of people emphasize on prompt engineering, and I think it's a very, very important skill, but in a short term. I believe that models are getting so good at simple type of prompting that they are actually inferencing in a much better way than what they used to do 6 months ago. And I've been using dozen plus models very regularly, and I've seen this change, right? But it is still very important to know how to get the most from these models. And for that, you should know, number one, domain knowledge, and you should know how to ask the question to the models. And number three, how to evaluate the responses that it will give. If you don't understand that particular area without generative AI, you will not know how to evaluate that response. You think it is awesome, right? Because most of these models spit out amazing text, amazing models, but it takes some experience to know where there is a flaw or where there is something wrong. So in that context, prompt engineering is still important and useful. Third one is, earlier for PMs to perform data analytics, there were two options. One, you rely on certain tools like product analytics tools, right? There are a lot of product analytics tools like Mixpanel, Amplitude, and a whole bunch of things, which will nicely give you in a graph and this and that. And you can say, oh, you know what? Last month, our customers were not very active in our product, possibly because of these reasons. The second way that product managers used to use analysis and data to make decisions was to work with data analytics teams. Ask the data analyst to give certain things and ask the right set of questions. Today, you actually can take the data sets and use the models to yourself and ask questions in a normal English language way to actually get a deeper understanding. You don't have to know specific analytics techniques. Now, if you know, that is great, but that is not prerequisite anymore, right? So this is incredible how this area is shifted. Now, the next one that I'm going to show is mainly for people who are working in products which are at the bottom of that generative AI stack, which means you are a company, you are working in a company that is actually making generative AI products, which means you are creating domain-specific models, or you are creating fine-tuned models, or you are creating AI agents for specific business functions, right? Which requires a lot more technology understanding, technical understanding, right? Because you'll be working very closely with machine learning engineers, data science engineers, and of course, the other engineers as well. So the deeper that you go on the tech stack, the more technical the role becomes. But worldwide, and even in India, majority of the companies and products are on the top of the stack, which is the applications that you are building for end users to solve, to use and get what they need to get done. So there, AI is going to have significant influence due to new experiences that you can create. So at that layer, most of the product professionals, I would say, if you look at top 3 things, is a great way to have it. Right? Now, here is another word of caution that I want to give, because I've seen this mistake done by many people, including a lot of senior folks, which is everybody is talking about AI. And to learn AI, we need to know statistical models, data analysis, machine learning, and everything. So let me also get in some certification, some course, something, and learn. Now, you should do it if you have the appetite and interest and things to do it, but it is very hard. And you should do it if you are going to directly benefit that in your current role, right? But if you are interested in a product role, you better learn these things in the context of product management, not on its own, right? Otherwise, you'll get very quickly bored and very quickly overwhelmed and saying, oh my God, I don't even know median mode. Now I have to understand what is logistic regression and linear regression and random forest and all of that, and you will pull your hair. Right? So I've seen this, hundreds of people do this mistake, and that's why I wanted to bring in so that you don't do that mistake. Okay, so in summary, and I'll pause after this, is product management 2.0 in the era of generative AI is core product management skills, skill still absolutely required, but it is not just about, writing requirements, prioritization, user stories, definition of done, all of that part. That will be significantly influenced by AI tools and systems, but move more towards strategic thinking and leadership parts of product management, which is customer facing business decision making. Plus the soft skills that are amplified by AI and contextually learn and build skills in the top three things, which is a foundational understanding of the generative AI stack, and learn how to develop better prompting skills so that you can perform your job effectively. And of course, ways to get analysis about your product usage, your product feature set, your investment that's going into using some analysis techniques, again with AI, right? So that to me is how product management will be disrupted, not the way many people think, oh, everybody's going to get out of jobs. Right? So I'll stop here. I'll pause here and see if you guys have any questions around this. I know we are already 1 hour into this, but maybe we can spend another 10 minutes taking some questions. And if you want to ask questions, please do turn on your camera. Otherwise, I'll prioritize people who have turned on the camera to see. Okay, did that over? Yeah.
Okay, sir. The thing is, I'm in a place with no lighting as of now. So if I were to turn on my camera, you would not see anything but a dark room. I have this very basic question. I come from a non-tech background. I work as a business analyst within reinsurance domain.
Yeah.
And in the past, I have struggled with techno-functional knowledge. So if I am going into product management, and with the kind of inroads AI is making in each role, how difficult would it be for me to learn this, to acquire this learning? And if it is not difficult, then where should one start learning about AI?
Well, I think I don't know whether you want to get into AI or whether you want to get into product role. I think that's an important question.
See, I have been getting, offhanded requirements that maybe we can introduce Gen AI in something called, let's say, session leakage. So they are not very interested in, AI per se, but they are thinking that maybe chunks of data, huge volumes of data, which have to be overseen by people, maybe AI can help. So here.
Yeah, I think looks like you have a background noise there, but I think I know what you wanted to ask or are asking. Number one, remember what I said, most of the companies are prioritizing the application of AI or usage of AI or generative AI specifically in process improvements, right? Which means how can we do something faster? How can we do something cheaper? And how can we automate a whole bunch of things, right? Now, often, typically, when it comes to process optimization, that is very technical. Now, which means that you will have to collaborate with people who understand this a lot more. And as a business analyst, if you are not keeping your role, which is my job as a business analyst is to be an interface between the client and my team. That is your value. And that is your role. If you try to learn AI because everybody is talking about it, then you will lose your edge, because a 3-year experienced young professional will come with, number one, a lot more appetite, a lot more flexibility, and probably a lot more knowledge and skill about AI than you today. So how are you going to compete with somebody like that? So please do not compete with people like this, right? You have to leverage your strength, your expertise, your experience, and then bringing enough understanding of generative AI so that you can actually create that value either to business or to the customer. Now, where do you start? I think there are thousands of free courses available on the web if you want to go ahead and learn AI. But the best way to do that is to actually getting your hands dirty, right? And which means learning by doing approach is the only way. Now, what I've seen, BA is a natural progression from BA to product role. Now, either you learn AI in the context of BA or you learn AI in the context of product, not a standalone AI. Yeah, guys, if you're not talking, please go on mute. Mrunal, can you? Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's see who else has raised their hand. Or Vidyasagar.
Hi, Satish, Sai Satish, it's a really great talk. Thank you for your time spending with us. Actually, I am a solution test engineer, work for multiple clients. So, could you please, and I am an individual contributor. So, from IC role to, if I want to move to product management, what are the typical changes I have to do from my side? Could you please give us?
So three things, Vidyasagar. One is, and this is not just for you, this is pretty much a lot of people who want to transition. To me, it's a very prescriptive advice, right? Number one is you have to develop product mindset. And that is a very different mindset than what many people come, which is a solution mindset, right? When somebody tells you something, our brain very quickly starts thinking about solution. How do I solve this? How do I create this, right? Now, you have to flip that and say, forget the solution for now. Is this a real problem? And for who is this a real problem? And because of this problem, what are the negative consequences or outcome for these people? And is it worth solving, right? These are strategic questions. So number one is product mindset. And that is absolutely possible to start thinking, but you have to undergo a structured way of approaching this, right? And number two is developing product skills, which I showed you a whole bunch of skills, right? They're called customer discovery, problem discovery, validation, design, not becoming a designer, but you should understand what design means, what it looks like, how you can collaborate with a designer, right? And then how do you influence your stakeholders to actually identify a particular market that we should go after? Because remember, the big difference between consulting and projects and business analysts is in those roles, your focus is delighting one client at a time. You're working on a project to meet the needs of that one client. But product is very different. You need to delight the whole market. So it's a very different thinking and skill sets, right? So which means you have to build those skills, not theoretically, but in a hands-on way. These are absolutely possible, right, to build. Now, I talked about core PM skills and leadership and strategic skills, especially for you, looks like you have many years of experience, right? So product, strategic thinking, and leadership skills. These three become very, very important. Now, infuse and integrate generative AI into each of these skill building so that not only you learn that skill without AI, but you will know how to do that faster and better, right? And the third and the most important thing, and now let me put on the hiring manager perspective, right? If I say I'm hiring for a senior PM and you apply for this, if you are leading this with a resume, let's say you send the resume to me. Now, first of all, I will not have time to see your resume because in 4 hours of my team publishing the job description, there are 450 people who have applied for it, which is a reality today, right? So do you think anybody on my side will have any time to look at all those resumes? Absolutely not. So what does these people do? They will filter. They will filter based on titles and roles and keywords, right? Now, you might add lots of keywords to your resume that signal product management. Is anybody prevented from adding those keywords? Anybody can add keywords today to resume.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
most people are doing it. And hence, what is happening is what I call as a spray and pray approach, which is you saw the job description, click on that apply now button, go to the nearest temple or mosque and pray and say, please somebody call me. Right? And now, if you are lucky, somebody will call you. Otherwise, you will conclude, man, my profile is not the right profile. So that's a wrong way to approach any transition. Any transition from whichever role to whichever role, transition will not happen with your resume. For a simple reason, because your resume is a declarative statement. Right? You are declaring what you have done. You're declaring what you know in terms of your past projects, past experiences, past company names, titles, and all of that. But if I'm hiring for a product manager and you are a project manager or you're a solution test architect, what confidence will I have to hire into the strategic role by looking at your resume? Absolutely none. Right? So now how do you convince me meaning as a hiring manager, that you not only know how to do product management, but here is some evidence for it. And that evidence doesn't need to necessarily come from your past role. It's called what we call as demonstration of portfolio. Build a portfolio that you can showcase. Signal to the world that you are different than all those 1,000 people who applied with resume, and then get their attention. Let me give you a simple, real situation that happened a few months ago. Right, 3 months ago, I was hiring for a director of product marketing. Okay, and so my team put out a job description on LinkedIn saying that director of product marketing. This is the JD. How many resumes do you think I got? 600 plus resumes in 5 hours. Same problem as I described. But among all those people, there was this one guy who messaged me directly on LinkedIn with his 2-minute YouTube video resume. And that 2-minute YouTube video resume is the one that I saw, because 2 minutes, I have time for 2 minutes. Number one. Number two, this guy did a very creative approach, not like everybody who just clicked and went to temple to pray. Right? That 2-minute gave me an understanding of what this person brings in and what value you can add to that role, why he believes that product marketing is something that he is good at. And by the way, later when I saw his resume, he does not have product marketing experience. But who do you think I first spoke to among all the 600 people? This guy.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to change our way of approaching career. That is a fundamental truth, right? So when you're building these skills, you should know. And by the way, building skill is different than gaining knowledge. Most of the people think if I do some course and get some chapa, get some stamp, something magic will happen. No magic will happen. Let me tell you that. I will give you 5 extra points if you have done some specific course because you have demonstrated seriousness and commitment. That's all. Just because you did some IIM Code 3-month certification doesn't mean you have product management skills. You have a certificate, you have a chapa. But now, as a hiring manager, I am going to evaluate you on display of skills, not declaration of skills. Right? Which means I'm going to give you a challenge and ask you to come back 24 hours later and present it to me. Right? Now, why am I doing this to you when other product managers are also available? You might have this question, right? Now, the real thing is, what is it that you can bring that they can't? From your past experience, from your expertise, either in that domain or some leadership skills, whatever. Right? That is the right way to approach this transition. And I have coached hundreds or probably thousands of product professionals who moved into product roles from a variety of functional roles. And it is absolutely doable. It's just that many people take the wrong approach, saying that, oh, that course looks good, this certificate looks good, this is from a reputed brand, right? Now, that brand is contextual. That brand stands for something else at some point in time, right? Now, I have great respect for a lot of these IAMs and ISBs, but understand this, they are fantastic brands in a different context, right? If I were to give you an analogy, and by the way, I'm taking a longer term to answer this in a broad way for others as well, is let's say if you want to buy an amazing handbag for your wife, right? Now, would you buy a Featherlight brand bag, or would you buy a Gucci bag? You would mostly buy the Gucci bag if you can afford it, that is, because that is known for making amazing handbags. Now, is Featherlight a bad brand? No, it is a fantastic brand in making office furniture, isn't it? So you have to look at those things contextually. This is a common misconception that many people have. And as a result, what I've seen is people are not making a decision, not moving forward. And today we have AI. In next 3 months, we will have probably AGI and whatnot, what people are talking about. So the time is just going. Right? I think time to make the decision is now. Whatever it is, whatever decision that you want to make, just make that and move ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, last question, Devendra.
Yeah. Satish, in one of the slides, you mentioned about this term called as model evaluation.
Yeah.
Can you go into the specifics? Like I'm working, I'm on the verge of that thing right now.
Yeah.
I'm building first ever product for my startup company
Very
right
good.
now, which is
Yeah.
AI powered product, kind of in the domain of astrology. Now the problem is evaluating a model. That's an issue I'm facing because I'm trying with multiple models, getting different kind of responses,
Yeah.
but not able to conclude which
Yeah.
model to go ahead with. And then there are
and that is not a common sense skill, Devendra, right? Model evaluation is essentially ability to choose what type of model is more appropriate for your type of application, right? So typically models are evaluated on 3 vectors. Number 1 is cost. Number 2 is performance, right? And number 3 is the relevance of that particular model or how it evolves over a period of time. Now, in all these 3 vectors, there are scientific research and benchmarks that have been created or are being created. So, for example, today, large language models actually run testing and scores on a certain type of scoring systems, right? But that only talks about one vector, which is how well are they performing either in math or coding or creativity or content generation. There are a lot of these benchmarks, right? Now, for your type of application, the ability to choose what right type of model is the first thing. Second thing, and of course, you have to now set it up and understand and quantify the running costs of that model, because sometimes you'll have to fine tune that model. That's very expensive, right? So now doing this requires deeper technical understanding of machine learning, not just a superficial thing, right? Now, yes, you can learn a little bit about model evaluations, look at what other people are doing. By the way, this is not different, Devendra. This happens regularly in IT industry. When databases came up, this is exactly what people did. You have to choose the right type of database for the right type of application. Right? So database evaluation was an area. And so all of these things are not new. It's just that we are now dealing with non-deterministic systems. Right? Database was a very deterministic system, which means you know that if you give this input, you will get that output. And second time you do this, it will give the same thing. But in the models context, by design and by nature, not by design, sorry, by nature, the models are non-deterministic. So that adds a lot of complexity into it. Okay. So model evaluation is a specific area that you'll have to get into much deeper and understand what scoring system, quantify the business. Remember, at the end of the day, if you're a product manager, your job is on the business part of it and customer part of it, not the technical part of it. You should have a right technical person to evaluate it, but as a business perspective, the context that you want to bring, the customer context that you want to bring is what your role is going to be.
Got it, understood. Like it is a technical person's job. I do agree. There's only one problem. Those technical persons don't have that domain knowledge. And
Well,
then you need to
you should make a strong case to your leadership team to say, if we are serious about it, you better hire somebody with this skill and pay them tons of money. Period.
agree.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I know it's been 30 minutes over time, but looks like there is a whole bunch of questions that came in on chat. But I always take a broader perspective. So hopefully many of your questions are answered, right? All the best, guys. Take care.
Sorry, Vivek. Thanks for that. Well, it was really nice to hear from Sai and quite a thought-provoking insight. I hope my screen is visible to you all. I'm taking a few seconds over here. If you can just scan the QR code in case you really want to book an appointment with any of the counselor, with any of the senior counselor at IPL, you can simply go and scan this QR code and book the slots with your favorite counselor to have your career-related discussions or on the topic of product management with any of the counselor. Thank you. Finally, the moment has arrived, and I want to thank each and everyone for giving us your valuable time. And I'm sure you had a fruitful time at the session, and I look forward to hosting you in the near future. On that note, I end today's session. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the day.